President Donald Trump on Tuesday threatened to attack Iran in retaliation for any strikes by Tehran on anything American, after Iran said new U.S. sanctions precluded any diplomacy and called the White House actions mentally retarded.
Here's a summary of the article.
Washington – President Donald Trump on Tuesday threatened to attack Iran in retaliation for any strikes by Tehran on anything American, after Iran said new U.S. sanctions precluded any diplomacy and called the White House actions mentally retarded. Iran's very ignorant and insulting statement, put out today, only shows that they do not understand reality. Any attack by Iran on anything American will be met with great and overwhelming force. In some areas, overwhelming will mean obliteration, Trump said in a Twitter post. The United States imposed sanctions on senior Iranian officials, including Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, on Monday. U.S. sanctions on Foreign Minister Mohammad Javad Zarif are expected later this week. Advertisement. Tensions between the two longtime foes have escalated over the last month, when Washington blamed Tehran for attacks on 2 oil tankers and Iran downed a U.S. surveillance drone. Tehran has denied responsibility for the tanker attacks and has said the U.S. drone was flying in Iranian airspace. Trump said he called off a strike on Iran last week in retaliation for the drone incident, after he decided at the last minute it would kill too many people.
This post received a score of 13,805, with an upvote ratio of 91%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
Not that it makes much of a difference since multiple outlets have picked up on this, but this translation is not correct. The exact idiom the Iranians used was that Trump is acting like a crazy person. Unfortunately, as most often happens with Persian to English translations, a literal translation was used and not an idiomatic one. So the phrase acting crazy became brain damaged, which U.S. outlets started repeating as they called him a retard law.
Greater than unfortunately, as most often happens with Persian to English translations, a literal translation was used and not an idiomatic one. And it's quite intentional to pick the most inflammatory version of it.
Yes, I remember the famous "wipe Israel off the map" comment that never happened.
That quote was from the official translation put out by the Iranian government, to be fair. The actual idiom used is much closer to "relegated to history." So if you want to blame anyone for the quote, blame Ahmadinejad's massively incompetent government.
I feel like relegated to history has the same implied meaning though, no?
No. The Soviet Union was relegated to history, but it wasn't nuked out of existence, was it? No, but Russians are still in control of Russia. They still live there. If Israel is relegated to history in the same way as you suggest, Israelis would still be in control of the territory.
Greater than they still live there. If Israel is relegated to history in the same way as you suggest, Israelis would still be in control of the territory. He meant the destruction of the Israeli apartheid state. The good outcome would be a secular state of Israel and Palestine combined. That's what he meant by the Zionist regime should be relegated to the pages of history.
That's my problem with the Soviet analogy. Russia is a rebranding of the USSR, with a former KGB agent constantly prying at the borders of previous satellite states and applying a new strategy to the Cold War. In many ways it's more efficient, just as spymaster like Putin would devise, get rid of all the boring politics hiding the route to absolute control. Elites are useful pressure points and lackeys for Putin, so he makes no attempt to foster anti-oligarchic sentiment. Instead, control through elites is encouraged via a mixture of personal "scratch my back, I'll make you head of a company" or element of the bureaucracy, and by selecting people who are greedy enough to seek maximum benefit from what he offers without being ambitious enough to take a shot at him. Putin is every bit as ruthless and taciturn as Lavrentiy Beria without being ruthless for the sake of it. Putin is not one kind of intelligent, he is many kinds, at once.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.